Now, my next guest has been one of our favourite TV and radio presenters for so many years. And Fearne is also now a best-selling author. She's written her first ever novel. It's called Scripted. And it's, well, I guess, Fearne, it's about a woman sort of taking back control of her life, in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, she's in her 30s, she's lost her confidence, she doesn't feel she can stand up to the characters in her life. They're all quite big characters, so she often is overshadowed by them and what they want to do. And there's a sort of fantasy element of these scripts turning up in her life that contain scenes from her future life, and they give her some clarity as to the moments where she's not sort of speaking her truth and saying what she wants. And then she starts to challenge the scripts and through the arc of the story, you know, tries to get that confidence back with varying degrees of success. But, yeah, there's some fun and drama in there as well, but there's a bit of a message, too, about us learning to say what we really want to say.
And kind of learning to say no sometimes.
Learning to say no, that's a big one.
It's a huge one. I am so guilty of that, and I get myself into terrible pickles.
Same.
Because I say, oh, yeah, I'll do that, and I'll do that. And then all of a sudden you've got 10 things you've got to do.
And you don't want to do it. You don't want to leave the house.
And you think, oh, no.
And then the worst bit is that if you start resenting the other person, that's a terrible cycle
you can't have that. So it's a great idea. Is it, because everybody always says that, is there a little bit of you in any of this, do you think?
Well, I've tried to make the protagonist, Jade, very much not me, but her experience is obviously inspired by things that I've felt over the years. I think you've got to write to an extent what you know. And I think, like most people, I've absolutely had those moments where I feel I can't say no, or I'm people-pleasing, or I'm sort of thinking something in my head but not saying it aloud. So there's a lot of that in there, but she is very much a separate person, a separate character, and all of the dynamics she has in her life are actually quite the opposite of mine. So she's got, for instance, a nightmare sister. I've got a very sweet, mild, lovely brother. So it was really fun to play around with dynamics that I don't know so well.
But also because of the job you do, because I found that when I was writing, you might not sort of base any characters on any one person in particular, but you can sort of, because you've interviewed so many people over the years, there's little bits that you can use.
Yes.
You know, little things that you can use, and it helps to round that out and flesh out the character.
Yeah, I think we're lucky in our jobs that we can sort of observe so much and so many different personality types and life stories, and I think you do imbibe a lot of that and then process it and work out how you're going to use it. So I've definitely done that with this book.
Are you working on the second one?
I am. It's unrelated to Scripted. But I love it. It feels like real escapism from everything else that I'm doing and juggling. It's just another world to dive into. So I don't know when it will be out, but I've started, so we'll see where it goes.
It's always difficult. The second one is I speak from experience, but it's how lucky we are to be able to do that.
I know.
You know, to actually do that. As well as all that, though, you'll still do Happy Place. You'll still do all of these things that you do. The podcast will go on. The festival will go on. All of these things, which is great. And it seems to me that you're kind of at the stage in your life where you're kind of like, I'm not so. Don't really want maybe do so much telly, radio.
I don't do any.
You just want to concentrate on this.
Yeah. I don't do any telly at all anymore. If something came up that I loved, I would maybe consider it. But really, my heart at the moment is in writing, but also all the Happy Place projects we're running. The podcast is still weekly. We've got our big summer festivals coming up in London and Cheshire over the summer with all sorts of yoga, meditation, and talks and expressive arts as a kids area. And I feel really driven to do all of these things. And it does take up, I mean, the festival is a lot of work.
It's like organising a wedding every year.
Oh, my God.
And a blinking big wedding
I think it's more stressful than organising a wedding, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah,
because it's mega. Now, look, this time last year, there was a remarkable event. There was a funeral.
Yes.
It was Chris, lovely Chris,
yes,
who I know was an amazing friend of yours, Chris Hallinga, who founded Copperfield, of course. And she's no longer with us, and it feels weird to talk about Chris in the past tense.
It does.
She was so vital, wasn't she?
It does.
An amazing girl.
I'm still getting my head around all of it. The funeral, which was her sort of living funeral.
I loved that.
But it was so Chris. It was so Chris. It was a year ago yesterday. It was just one of the best days of my life. I was so apprehensive and sort of worried about going, if I'm really honest, but it was so beautiful. And I think, like most people in her life, you have these moments where you cannot believe it and you cannot process it that she's not here anymore, and you feel this horrible numbness about it, and then all of a sudden it hits you out of the blue. It hit me round the face yesterday because it was that marker of a year since the funeral. And then you try and process it a little bit more, and it's painful and awful. But along with that, you get all these incredible memories and laughter and funny things we did together.
That you've done, and I know the Trek is on just now. There is something quite it was very Chris to do our funeral a year before she actually died. You know, it's astonishing and a good thing because she gets to hear all the tributes to her as well.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
You don't get to hear that normally. I want to hear people say what I meant to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what a legacy, Fearne. What an amazing legacy. She saved so many lives, got particularly young women aware of breast cancer, you know, checking yourself, all of that. And Copperfield, the charity, will obviously continue.
Oh, if anything, get bigger and better. And I get messages all the time saying that whether it was, you know, hearing her on my podcast or going on a trek or the university work that she had done with the Boobettes, you know, learning about checking yourself and that vital knowledge of what your normal is and what abnormal feels like has, as you say, absolutely saved lives and will continue. Like, that's the thing, is her work is nowhere near done. She will just keep saving lives. And, you know, it's awful and it's painful and it's just it's mind-boggling to think she's not here. But
it's very strange because a real, like Deborah Gaines, you know, a real force of nature. But even if they're no longer with us, they're still doing amazing things.
They are.
And it is astonishing.
Yeah,
it really is. It's so good to see you.
And you, Lorraine.
I know it's out now. It's doing incredibly well. I'm so pleased for you. Scripted is out now. It's a great read, and especially right in time for the summer when we've actually got time.
It's a good summer read.
To sit and read and just disappear into that world.
Yeah.
That is what we want. That's why reading is so amazing. Thank you.
Lorraine, thank you for having me again.
It's always good to see you, Fearne. Always good to see you. Thank you. Right.